Hi everybody from a beautiful English summer holiday. You may be aware of rumblings about a sepsis project starting soon, so in the next 5 minutes I'm just going to explain a little bit about that. Don't worry, Graham's still doing PEDS teaching, so stay awake for his teaching. It won't be long. At the moment, Queensland doesn't have a sepsis programme, unlike other areas such as New South Wales and the UK. And in response to increased rates of sepsis and several missed cases, Queensland's embarking on a sepsis programme with the aims to increase recognition of sepsis patients, increase escalation to a senior clinician, and improve early, appropriate fluid and antibiotic management. Gold Coast Uni Hospital is the pilot site for this project, and we're very lucky to have been chosen, and we're imminently starting the project. The programme involves a pathway to guide clinicians in recognition, management, antibiotic prescription and administration for sepsis patients. There's a strong education programme that goes with this to raise awareness and increase everyone's knowledge about sepsis presentations and management. The pathway has been developed by a working group from the Sepsis Statewide Steering Committee, which is made up of medical, nursing, pharmacy, forms experts and human factors experts in disciplines including ICU, ED and infectious diseases. It's an evidence-based pathway that's been through many iterations to get to the nearly finished point. It's going to be trialled on using a method that's common in healthcare improvement known as the PDSA cycle, Plan, Do, Study, Act. This involves testing the new product, the pathway, on a small unit. So we'll first test it in simulation, then we'll move to testing it on one patient before we move to testing it on a smaller or a larger number of patients before final rollout. And at each stage, if there are problems with the pathway, they'll be rectified before we go on. The education programme is going to be for medical and nursing staff in the ED. Consultant education on sepsis is on the 27th of July, and prior to that there'll be pre-reading and some questions to get the discussion started. If you're facilitating a sepsis education session for the SHOs or Molly or the Regis, you may have already received specific presentations from email, and if not, Brooke and Wendy have got those ready for you. Emphasis in education reflects the emphasis in the pathway. That recognition isn't an easy thing to do, it's tricky and requires thought, rather than the blind application of a sepsis score like QSOFA or SIRS. In terms of management, again, we're trying to move away from tick box medicine that says, yes, we've checked a lactate and yes, the patient's blood pressure is above 90. It's much more important to think about the source in the patient in front of you, to prescribe antibiotics that are appropriate for that source, to consider fluid resuscitation plus or minus inotropes for the patient in front of you rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. And once you've done those early steps, we want to encourage everyone to look again at the whole of the patient in front of them and work out whether they're getting better, worse, and where they need to go. In terms of guiding people about antibiotics, there's nothing new here. We're using ETG and a combination of the GCOH antibiogram, and we'll be going with a syndromic approach. That is, if you think the patient has a skin source, prescribe X. If you think they've got pneumonia, prescribe Y. We're aiming to get the basics right by having easy access to prescribing and administration information to get the drugs to patients who need it faster. This side of things may change in the future as the Queensland Antimicrobial Stewardship Programme is developing a guide which involves a combination of a syndromic approach and the unknown diagnosis approach. This is important because we know at the moment that in ED we often can't get the correct source quickly identified. So I know you're probably all keen to have a little look at the paper pathway. It's in its final stages of graphic design, and I'll email it out to everybody as soon as it's completed, which hopefully will be Monday. The project title is Outsmart Sepsis, so look out for these words and the design element or logo that'll be coming out very soon. If you've got any questions, please email me, and Viv is kindly holding the fort, so she's here in the room to answer questions for you now. I'll be back on the 10th of July, but happy to answer emails before then, and start wearing your sepsis hats to get ready for rollout in a month's time. Thanks everyone, over to Viv.